Okay, so this presentation is about, it's called Garbage You Eat, and it's just like talking about like food accountability, so like making sure that you're aware of what you're eating and like how it can be sustainable or like affect sustainability. Okay, so since that slide you've seen before, just kind of outlines the 3 pillars of sustainability like we've continued to talk about, so social, economic, and environmental. There's that same quote, these efforts will also promote the integration of the 3 components of sustainable development, economic development, social development, environmental protection. And so social, economic, environmental, those are the little things. So food efficiency, facts and figures. So the livestock sector generates 14.5% of anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. So this is kind of like, I don't know if you remember, Brandon was kind of talking about it earlier, about like how livestock just like accounts for a lot of like emissions. So, and then back, like he also mentioned this about water, so livestock sector also accounts for 8% of total water use, and just feeding, like feed production counts for 7 of that 8%. So then in the US, this sector is estimated to account for about 55% of sediment pollution, so like erosion that gets carried to the water and like runoff and stuff like that. Nutrient waste from the sector also accounts for about 1/3 of nitrogenous and phosphoric waste in water. So nutrients go to waste in like the water that potentially like gets drank. So putting this into perspective, the global demand is projected to increase by 70% to feed population, and it's estimated to reach 9.6 billion by 2050, which, what, almost 30 years? 10% of the world's endangered animals are at risk due to the impacts of animal agriculture. So the biodiversity is decreasing, like in the Amazon and stuff like that, just because of feed plots or grazing lands. So like a lot of the natural habitats in the world are being like just affected because of these like animals. So desertification and eutrophication are 2 major areas of concern. And overfishing is in part a byproduct of the livestock sector. So demand in industrial grade fish feed. So yeah, and land disputes could ensue, especially across like classes in different land. So here are the diet classifications. So standard omnivorism, so anyone that eats like plants and meat or anything, really you should eat everything. And then semi-vegetarianism, so reductarianism. No, I said that wrong. But that can be like pescatarians or stuff like that. And then vegetarians, so you eat primarily vegetables, no meat, but some plants, not plants, oh my gosh, some things that come from animals like eggs and dairy. And so people that are just plant-based, so strict vegetarianism, just dietary veganism. And then veganism, which is really like more like kind of cautious in terms of like you're not just eating plants just to eat plants, you're eating it like for more ethical reasons. So it's not just because like, oh, I don't want to eat plants.
It's also about the products that you buy. So I am a dietary vegan because I have a leather bag. Ooh, it's so good, I love an animal. But whenever they say like veganism beyond the diet, it's about the products you buy, like the clothes you wear and like the things you use. So even sunscreen can have animal-derived products in it. Like it's absolutely everything you use is non-animal based. It's extreme. Like you have to look into everything. And sometimes people like in that type of like lifestyle catch themselves using things that had animal-based products without even realizing it. So it's being very like highly conscious of everything you're buying.
Thank you. Yeah, that. So what about like in terms of nutrition? These are some very long quotes, but I'm just going to point, I highlighted the key parts, or what I feel as though is key parts. So the vegetarians, including vegans, diets are healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits for the prevention and treatment of certain diseases. Some people will say like, hey, like that's not really good for you, but it's actually scientifically proven to have been good for you. And it's not just like these two sources, and even like Harvard Medical School has said that. Other big like medical people have also mentioned that it can be good for you. Also, plant-based diets are more environmentally sustainable than diets rich in animal products because they use fewer natural resources and are associated with much less environmental damage. So it's not just about like eating good. It can also be about like eating better. Not, I guess, like eating better. Like changing your diet can also be more sustainable. And I know a lot of people like don't think about that. Like a lot of people are just like, oh, like the environment or whatever, like recycling and stuff like that. But no, it can also extend to even like your diet. And so, yeah. And then also, vegetarian diets can meet all the recommendations for nutrients. The key is just to consume a variety of foods and the right amount of foods to meet your calorie needs. And so you just have to follow specific recommendations. And there's actually something I'll show you coming up, and that actually relates to that. So nutrition key interest, protein is one of the big things. A few things that are very big on protein. The stuff in the corner, so meat, fish, cheese, eggs, beans, bread, hummus, nuts, and seeds. And some of them contain essential amino acids, and those are the key, especially like less available ones like lysine, as I mentioned before, eggs and dairy. And then for people who are vegans, like legumes, nuts, seeds, vegetables. Vitamins and minerals of concern. So vitamin B12, and so as you can see here, that can be like dairy, and I think that's chicken, I'm not sure. Vitamin K, kale, spinach, broccoli, romaine, it's also there, like your greens. Vitamin E, almonds and flower seeds, spinach, eggs. Vitamin D, sunlight and mushrooms. Iron, fortified grains, legumes, spinach. Zinc, tofu, legumes, milk, nuts, and seeds. And magnesium, cereals, spinach, almonds, navy, and bean peas. So if you are worried about like how this will affect your health, you can always like contact a dietitian before you would start doing anything. Because like if you don't know you're allergic to something, or you don't know how something's going to affect your health, like adding more of a vitamin to your diet or like less of it, that can also be like affecting your health. So what can our options be? So like as you mentioned before, the internet is a very good tool, obviously. And so why do we eat certain things? Why do we eat proteins, carbs, and fats? That's like not necessarily the whole picture. Also, like learning how to cook is not only like just like good like for you, but it's also like more sustainable because like you're not spending money, so that's kind of like economically sustainable. You're not necessarily not spending money. You're spending less money, and then like the amount of money you'd spend like on some like Whataburger, you can probably buy using that amount of money. You could like get more meals and stuff like that. Gradually reduce consumption of animal products. So like be really selective of your meats. Red meats are less sustainable than chicken or fish or birds, I guess. And then maybe like how I think Christiana mentioned before, consider being like going vegan like certain days of the week, or going vegetarian certain days of the week. So vegetarianism is a viable option with a rudimentary understanding of nutrition and cooking. So like I mentioned before, like knowing what it's going to do for you is also like very good. It's like before you decide to try it. So like maybe do some research if you're not comfortable like going like full in before you decide to like do it. And then as we've all been saying, don't let food go to waste. You know, it's just like not good for the environment. It's not good for you either. Like if people like a lot like before, a lot of you were saying like, oh, what can we do to like tell people like, oh, like if they're gonna throw the food to waste, like you're gonna make someone else feel bad, but like you should also feel bad about it if you're doing it too. So yeah, and then as I mentioned before, consult with a dietitian just to make sure, especially if you do have like underlying health problems. Going vegan or vegetarian or just going more sustainable in your eating habits shouldn't affect your like health. So like health always comes first. So some major food allergens that will affect like how certain people eat these are like the big 8. So peanuts, nuts, milk, eggs, wheat, which is like gluten, soy, fish, and shellfish, which are like crustaceans. Those are like, oh, I didn't fix that. Those are really big allergies, and I want to say it said that this has to be like 94 or like 90% of people like are affected by them, and that is why they are like major allergens. So because like since 2004, the FDA requires that major food allergens be listed with the product information somewhere on the package. So that's like where it's saying may contain this or like produced in this. So it's not enforced by the FDA, but it is always required to be truthful. So it's kind of like how Chick-fil-A is like, oh, we cook our food in peanut oil. They always have to like warn you, but I guess everyone kind of knows that now. So some additional thoughts of like what else you can do. So shopping local, like going to the farmer's market, going to Howdy Farm, stuff like that on campus, and then GMOs, so genetically modified foods. In terms of sustainability, less land will grow more food and more like with like genetically modified, and then it lasts longer. So I don't necessarily pertains to this, but like one thing that I'm really like bad about is like I always buy milk and then I never like drink it. So like now I just like stop buying milk because I'm like I'm not gonna finish it. I hate like letting it go to waste, but like I know like Lactaid like lasts like a month, which is like crazy. I know like I heard almond milk lasts, yeah, it lasts like a really long time. Yeah. So yeah, like that's something like to look into. And then organic foods, so they aim to produce foods with minimal harm to ecosystems, animals, and humans. And however, they have lower yields than conventional agriculture. However, it's been proven that like they're actually like organic foods can actually meet like the same amount of like yield as a conventional agriculture. And then like in vitro meat is also something interesting. So this is one thing that I told you I was going to come back to. So like finding out something like how much you should like your intake and stuff like that. So this is a calculator and it'll tell you like how much like protein you should be intaking, like vitamins and certain things like that, like based on like certain things. So I guess I can go through it so you can see how it works. I am 19. No, I am not pregnant or lactating, if anyone is wondering. Because the computer obviously is. How tall do y'all think I am? 5'3", 5'4"? 5'5". 5'5". She thinks I'm tall. Don't look at this one, guys. Okay, I think I'm like 120. Don't look at this one either. I think I'm low active. I wouldn't consider myself very active or the other one. Okay. So you submit it, and then it tells you what you put in, and then it also like tells you, no. Okay. Yeah, so then it tells you your BMI, and then macronutrients, vitamins, and the recommended intake, and then like what you can tolerate, and then minerals, so like calcium stuff, iron, magnesium. Eat your cereal, guys. And yeah, so there's that. So I also have like this little activity that I actually like totally forgot to get ready before I stood up, so be on me. Y'all can like stand up. If you have a pen, you can get that out because you're gonna like write your name. Yeah. Over there. So what are you gonna have them do? List where they are. I feel like it's gonna be incredibly obvious. What? I feel like there's already too bad. Okay, so I'm gonna give everyone a post-it. You're gonna write your name on it, and on the wall we're gonna put the different diet classification. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. And then from there you're gonna put what you fall under. So are you vegan? Are you vegetarian? Are you standard omnivore? There, are you happy with that? Yes, thank you. It is serious. So write your name and then go stick it on the wall. What do you Sorry. Is that something I'm talking about? Yeah. If they don't stick, put it like on the floor under. That's semi. Yeah. You're so smart. And then stick them on the wall. What are we writing on here? We're just writing your name, and then you're gonna come stick it on what you are. Stick it to the paper. And that's what. Someone did it.
Sometimes I eat gluten free because my roommate's gluten free.
Someone just stand there. Wait, it wasn't. I wasn't sticking with them.
Kind of like my roommate made me eat almond ice cream the other day.
Oh, I like it.
Bad. No, not like that.
Who's Natalie? What are you? Because it fell off.
Oh man, I'm in the semi one.
Got it. All right, well. Okay, well, those are the results. As you can see, mostly everyone is a standard omnivore. I guess you'll be enjoying Chipotle tonight. And then there are some semi-vegetarian / reduction. I can't talk. That. There's one vegetarian and so 2 plant-based people. I don't know. Well, yeah, so I hope this kind of puts into perspective. There are some people that have like certain eating habits or dietary restriction. Yeah, so in case you never met a vegan or a plant-based person, we have some in this group. Welcome to Diverse College. All right, well, that's it. That was food accountability.